Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, bringing you some action from the MSL. This is going to be the Survivor Tournament, Group 7, and this should be a pretty fun group in my opinion. We've got, in this first game, Bisu and Modesty, and in the second game, it's going to be Baby and Luxury. So definitely some good players, some good storylines going into this group. Should be some entertaining games, I hope. For one, we've got Bisu here, who's always seems to do very well in the MSL. He's got 3 of them already. He's got a GOM. You know, he definitely does well in those 2 leagues, although GOM's kind of gone now. Unfortunately, his OSL problems are very well documented. Don't really need to be discussed here, but he is usually doing well in the MSL. So last year he did not do quite that well, which is why we're seeing him here in the Survivor Tournament. He didn't get automatically seeded. But he certainly has to be the favorite in this group to get out, and barring some colossal failure on his part, which unfortunately would not be all that surprising because he has been known to get upset on quite a regular occasion, it seems. But provided that we don't see any colossal upsets, we should be able to see Bisu advance from this group in some way or another. Opposite to him, we have STX's Zerg player Modesty. Now, Modesty is actually normally a versus Zerg specialist, and honestly, seems like a lot of guys out of STX are just very good versus Zerg. I mean, if you're a Zerg player, you don't really want to be going up against STX. Top to bottom, they're very good at the matchup. You start with Modesty, who's just pretty much a Zerg specialist, versus the other races. He's okay. He's not very proficient versus the other races compared to other pro gamers, but definitely versus Zerg is his go-to matchup. Then you've got Washin, the red sniper, really built a name for himself based off of his, literally built a name for himself off of his versus Zerg play. Very good versus Zerg. And then Cal and Com, I mean, Cal's just good against everyone, but his versus Zerg is usually top notch. And then Com recently actually went on like a 9 or a 10 game winning streak versus other Zerg, so definitely a lot of good Zerg players on versus Zerg players on STX. Kind of like how Samson Khan has some really good farm system for creating players that are just very good versus Terran. I mean, if you're a Zerg player, you don't want to play STX, and if you're a Terran player, you do not want to be playing Samson Khan if you have a choice, especially in the Winners League format, where which is going on right now in the Pro League, where you know, you kind of have to go through the entire lineup, which can be really tough for you if you're in one of those situations. Now in this game, we've got some pretty standard play going on here. Bisu scouted out that 12 hatch slightly later than he maybe would have wanted to. That's why he wasn't able to cancel the forge in time. So he just threw down his nexus. So maybe didn't get the all of the advantages that you would hope for as a Protoss player in scouting out a 12 hatch. But still, it's certainly not a game deciding decision or play here at all, and just trying to be obnoxious with this probe. We're doing a pretty good job of being obnoxious. Just peppering at this drone. Maybe, just maybe, he's hoping to get a kill. Probably not going to be very likely. But if anyone was going to get a probe kill, it would be Bisu, because that's just what Bisu does. And actually, he's getting very close. That drone, I think, has 2 hits left on at 7 HP. And it looks like Modesty was busy. They're throwing down his 3rd hatchery at the 9 o'clock position. Maybe wasn't microing that drone as efficiently as he should have. And that drone, it appears, is down to like 8 health, 6 health. I can't read that for sure, but definitely very low on life, and needs some protection. He needs a couple Zerglings to pop out, and I'm hoping that egg at the natural expansion is going to be some Zerglings, and yeah, it is. So Modesty playing that pretty well. Sending that drone to the egg that had the Zerglings popping out. So good decision by him. And it doesn't look like, let's see, we've got 4 Zerglings out right now, and a very quick tech to lair. And Bisu is definitely going to scout this all out, getting a good glimpse of how many Zerglings are being produced. He knows that there's going to be virtually no pressure on his door right now, unless there's a massive influx, a massive production of Zerglings. So he's just content right now with that 1 cannon, able to skimp on his cannons right now for a little bit, seeing that drone pop out as well. This is definitely a highly economic build from Modesty, and I think Bisu, with this fantastic probe scout, still alive by the way, is going to be able to match Modesty's economy by skimping on a lot of his defenses. He's not going to, whatever build he decides to do, whether he's going for a Corsair Reaver, Corsair DT, whatever opening he wants to do, he's able to do that without producing many Zealots. We see that only 1 Zealot produced right now. Got the second earliest similar, so definitely going to be an economic tech build out of Bisu, and only the 1 cannon. So definitely very nice play by both of these players. I mean, Modesty's kind of decided, I'm going to play a macro game, and Bisu's responding. And normally in these kinds of situations, you give the advantage to the person who's able to respond in the best manner, because the response is really where you start to get advantages. And I think that right now both these players are going for economic builds, but I think that plays more into Bisu's hands because he was able to react in the way that he wants, whereas Modesty is kind of just doing his own thing. Now, there, of course, are some players who, just by doing their own thing, if you let them do their own thing, you can scout it out as well pretty decently, and it still doesn't matter. Like Flash is definitely the epitome of that. You can scout out Flash, you can have a decent idea of what he's doing, and he'll still beat you. But I don't think Modesty is that in a class, in a league like that. Certainly not normally, anyways. And finally, that probe getting killed, and it looks like we're going to see some Sayer DT play coming out here. We got two assimilators going in. We got that Citadel of Doom coming up. We got a Corsair on the way as well. And it looks like we got a Spire coming up for Modesty, and it looks like a very, very standard 5-hatch Hydra build, very, very standard right now. We got a second gateway coming up as well for Bisu. And Bisu actually using his first Corsair on that Overlord in his base, and he's able to do this because that Probe Scout was alive for so long. He knew that this was a standard build coming his way. He didn't need to send that Corsair out immediately to go scout out Modesty's base. So that's definitely just one of those little advantages that Bisu was able to get because he kept that probe alive for so long. And Bisu probes are really quite legendary. Bisu is very well known for keeping his probes alive longer than they really should, to put it simply. Able also to pick off a Zergling that was at his front door, so another little kill there for him. And he's got two Corsairs now flying around inside of Modesty's base, and he's got to be careful checking out for Scourge. And if he had turned around, he would see that none of those 3 eggs were Scourge. It was 2 drones and an Overlord, so still droning up Modesty. Still hasn't really started producing units. Haven't seen the Hydras done either. And we finally got a Templar Archives coming up here for Bisu. So yeah, definitely a very tech-heavy build here, and Scourge chasing these Corsairs. Bisu should be able to keep them alive. Bisu normally has very, very good Corsair play, and he's really known for his multitask. Bisu, it is some of the best multitask that you will ever see, and unfortunately that one Corsair taking a hit there. But his multitask is really what allows him to do so well in the PvZ matchup. He's able to micro his Corsairs, and at the same time we saw him pushing out with those Zealots, and we see the Zealots pushing out right now. Those 5 Zealots are right at the door of Modesty, and only a few Hydralis there, and he's going to have to be careful here, actually. Yeah, Bisu's going to have to back up. He doesn't have speed yet, doesn't have +1, so he's not really going to be able to do any damage there. But he's just able to micro all of these different these forces around, and able to just push pressure on different locations of the Zerg player over and over again. And he's usually able to get victories that way, just by applying pressure in multiple situations, multiple areas, and just stressing a Zerg player's defenses out. He does have speed upgraded, and he is charging here into the Hydra's forces. Now, there are a lot of Hydras here, but we'll see if Modesty's micro is up to the task. If he has good micro, he can probably defeat this Zealot force, but it doesn't look like he's doing very, very well. Actually, both players losing a lot of units there. It looks like about half of the Zealots, about 3 or 4 Zealots have gone down, and several Hydras have also gone down. Probably 6 or so Hydras, I would say, went down there. So a little bit of a victory there, I would say, for Bisu in terms of the money and the economics of it. But certainly, once again, I'm not talking about any sort of killing blow. Certainly not going to make, shouldn't anyways, make a drastic difference in this game right now quite yet. Just that couple Hydralis difference. It is good for him to have gotten that though, and neither.